Hey history buffs, stop right there. Everything you thought you knew about the Vatican is about to get turned upside down. Buried under the stunning architecture and layers of centuries-old history lies one of the most fascinating, yet secretive stories that history has almost entirely forgotten. A hidden tunnel that played a key role in shaping not just religion, but the world as we know it. Today, we're diving into the secret tunnel under the Vatican. Buckle up, because this is a tale full of intrigue, danger, and survival. Let's paint the scene. Picture 1527, a time of upheaval, political tension, and betrayal. Rome is under siege by the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V during what's remembered in history as the sack of Rome. His army, initially comprised of over 34,000 men, and what a terrifying army that was, had dwindled down to about half that size due to lack of food, disease, and high desertion rates. But even in its weakened state, it was ferocious enough to sack the Eternal City. Once these troops broke into Rome, absolute chaos erupted. What do you imagine it looked like? Smoke billowing from every corner, people running for their lives, and soldiers looting, pillaging, and committing unspeakable acts. It was unprecedented in scale and ferocity. A tragedy Rome hadn't witnessed since the fall of the Western Roman Empire about 1,000 years earlier. Caught amidst this chaos was none other than Pope Clement VII. A Medici pope, not exactly loved but respected for his political intellect. He found himself in despair. His papal guards, those brave Swiss mercenaries, stood valiantly at the ready, but against an advancing army numbering in the thousands. The odds were abysmal at best. Here's where the story gets fascinating. Facing death or ransom, Pope Clement VII made a desperate yet ingenious decision. Hidden beneath Vatican City was an ancient, secret corridor, a passageway that many now call the Passetto di Borgo. This passage was far more than just a piece of medieval architecture. It became the stuff of legend in this dramatic moment of history. The Passetto stretches about 800 meters, from Vatican City to Castel Sant'Angelo, a fortress originally built by the Roman Emperor Hadrian as a mausoleum. If you've ever visited Rome, you've probably marveled at Castel Sant'Angelo's sheer scale and towering walls. What most people never realize is that this fortress once acted as the Pope's ultimate refuge in times of danger. Think of it like the Batcave, but for the leader of the Catholic Church. As the soldiers of Charles V stormed St. Peter's Basilica, Pope Clement VII began his daring escape. History tells us he was led by loyal retainers through the dimly lit, claustrophobic corridor of the Passetto. Imagine it, ancient stone walls, damp with hundreds of years of condensation, lit only by the flickering light of torches as the small procession hurriedly shuffled through. Outside, anarchy reigned supreme as the city of Rome burned. But underground, within this narrow corridor, hope still flickered. But it wasn't just the Pope who used the tunnel that night. His escape became a symbol, a rallying cry for survival. High-ranking Vatican officials and other members of the Church also used the Passetto to evade capture by Charles V's forces. Each step felt like a gamble with fate. Each turn in the passage was a choice that could lead to salvation or disaster. So, was this escape tunnel a guaranteed route to safety? Absolutely not. Though it was concealed brilliantly for its time, it wouldn't have been invincible if the troops knew where to look. But here's the defining factor that saved their lives: luck and sheer chaos in the streets above. Charles's unruly soldiers were so blinded by their bloodlust and their loot-gathering frenzy that most didn't pause to look for an underground escape route. And guess what? The Passetto worked as the ultimate survival play. Once Pope Clement reached the sanctuary of Castel Sant'Angelo, the siege only intensified. In fact, Clement remained entrapped inside the fortress for an astonishing 7 months while negotiations took place. But it was his escape, his tactical mindset, that ensured he would live to negotiate another day and continue his papacy once the dust settled. What's even more astounding is how this narrow corridor has aged remarkably well across the ages. While it fell slightly into obscurity in modern times, it's now become a historical site that reminds visitors of the Vatican's rich and sometimes turbulent past. Today, You can walk sections of the Passetto di Borgo if you're willing to join a guided tour. Imagine retracing the footsteps of one of the most daring escapes in history, feeling history's pulse as you wander through this ancient stone corridor. It really puts you back in time, almost as if you're living that fateful night yourself. Here's where the story gets an additional layer of depth. Castel Sant'Angelo, the endpoint of the escape, has its own mysteries. Did you know that it houses trapdoors, secret stairways, and its very own drawbridge? The fortress wasn't just a resting place for the dead of the ancient Roman Empire. It was a marvel of defensive engineering. During Pope Clement VII's entrapment within its walls, it served as his headquarters, allowing him to negotiate with King Charles V while simultaneously plotting countermeasures to restore the church's power. But let's not forget the Swiss Guard, those majestic warriors clad in their colorful, striped uniforms. These guards earned eternal glory for their role during the sack of Rome. While Pope Clement fled, 189 Swiss guards made their brave last stand on the steps of St. Peter's Basilica to protect him. They held the invading soldiers back long enough for the Pope to escape into the secret tunnel, a display of heroism that still resonates to this day. And believe it or not, this very event solidified their reputation as the Vatican's elite defenders, a legacy that survives even now. What can we take from all this? It's a stark reminder that history's greatest stories often happen beneath the surface, sometimes quite literally. The Passetto di Borgo wasn't just a tunnel. It was a lifeline, a symbol of survival, and its story shows us the lengths leaders will go to in pursuit of preservation, not just of their own lives, but of institutions, ideals, and histories. So the next time someone mentions the Vatican, let your mind wander not just to the ornate ceilings of the Sistine Chapel or the sprawling St. Peter's Square, but to the silent, shadowy corridor that once saved the very soul of this ancient institution. Will you ever look at the Vatican the same way again? Probably not. That marks the end of today's hidden gem of history, a story of survival, sacrifice, and resilience etched into the stones beneath one of the most visited sites in the world. If you enjoyed this riveting tale, don't forget to like, share, and follow for more incredible history you won't find in textbooks. Until next time, stay curious, stay questioning, and keep uncovering history's hidden gems.